Hi, I'm Stu Harrison and I'm here for Merriam Pianos in Toronto, Canada. Today I'm going to be looking at Roland's new DP-90SE home digital piano. I'm going to be talking about some first impressions I've got from the instrument, which I must say is incredibly positive. We're going to be looking at the wireless integration that Roland has with any iOS product. We're going to be talking about the features and we're going to be talking about the action. These are all things on any digital piano that I really love digging into, and this gives us lots of meat to dig through. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the action, because I think for any piano player looking at a digital piano, how it feels and how closely it resembles a piano is the first marker as to whether this is going to be a viable option, a viable instrument or not. When you get caught in an instrument where the keys are responding so differently from a real piano, that becomes the distraction, and you really just can't enjoy the instrument. You can't sit down and lose yourself like you can in front of a great acoustic. So good action is always critical. And I have to say that one of the first things that I notice about this Roland DP-90SE is the action. Now, it's using the PHA-4 model of action that Roland makes. This is, as of 2015, their highest level action that they currently build. We've got a model of the Roland action there. We can take a little peek of it a bit later. But my first impressions of the action are that it's incredibly responsive. It's very, very sensitive, especially in the lower dynamic ranges, and it's easy to stop thinking about how you're trying to get the instrument to respond to you. Sometimes with digital pianos, you have a little bit of a paranoia that if you play one key just a little bit too hard, you're going to step up into the next sample. That's something that I've never run into after 2 or 3 hours of playing on this Roland. Is you're not feeling like you're getting into that, sample stepping issue, which is very distracting, especially for people who play classical music on digital pianos. This is a big deal. So you notice that I was playing the Grieg at the front. One of the reasons that I played that piece was, especially in the cadenza, you've got a really nice slow build. It's very, very intricate. And the fact that I can't hear any sample stepping going on through that whole first page of the cadenza, quite frankly, is a miracle to have happen on a digital piano. So the PHA-4 feels, the surface of it feels great as well, because this one comes equipped with the ivory top surface. That's a nice thing for us who are used to playing on larger grands, or especially older vintage pianos, where you might actually have the luxury of still playing on ivory. Few people do. So the key has the texture that you're used to, and the responsiveness of the key is alarmingly good. The weight of the key, I would say, feels quite natural. It still has a bit of the characteristic Roland bottom end to the key bed. I think every manufacturer has some characteristics which are unique to them. I would say the one thing that I usually notice with Roland is as you get to the bottom, it has a slightly harder bottoming out to the keyboard than something like a Kawai, which is a little bit on the soft side. Yamaha tends to be just a bit heavier and a bit slower on the way down. So they all have their characteristics. This one still has that, but on this particular Roland, I don't find it to be a distraction at all. I don't find that it gives me an unnatural alien feeling in front of the instrument. It really is just a great action to play. I'm going to quickly play one other thing on here just to speak to that sensitivity that we were just talking about. So the Beethoven, with its top line and quieter inner voices, on most digital pianos this would be very, very difficult to control, because I'm not using the soft pedal and I haven't touched the volume from the first piece I recorded. Very satisfying to play. The second thing I'm going to touch on is the Roland's efforts to integrate a wireless technology into their keyboards. This is pretty cool. There aren't a lot of manufacturers who are doing this at the level that Roland is. And what they've done, they've equipped many of their instruments, including the DP-90SE, with a USB port that you can feed a little wireless Wi-Fi key into. Now that's specific to Roland. You can't just go out and buy any wireless USB key and put it in there. It does have to be one that Roland specifies. And you can see it just here down on the lower right hand side. I've got it plugged in there. And what this allows us to do is it allows us to connect any iOS device that we want. In this case, we've got an iPad 2 hooked up, and Roland provides free of charge 3 or 4 really cool apps that are available through the App Store. You can download them, and I'm just going to quickly talk about some of the general capabilities that this gives you. What I've got loaded on the screen right now is what's called the Roland Air Performer. What this allows you to do is go through your iTunes library, pick any song that you want to pick, and cue it up here, and it wirelessly plays it back through the Roland speaker system. So I've got a Coldplay tune here. I'm just going to quickly press play so you can see how seamlessly that integration occurs. So you've got full volume control. And the user interface is extremely easy to use. There's also an air recorder, which would allow me to do exactly the same thing, but if I wanted to play the piano over top of it, it's a lot of fun. So those are 2 apps there, the Performer and the Recorder. Now one other one that they've got on here is what they call the Piano Designer. To us piano geeks, this is a lot of fun. What this essentially allows us to do is to control every tiny little aspect of the playing experience, piano playing experience, on the Roland through a nice, convenient interface rather than having to dig through menus. And this gives us control over things like cabinet resonance, the soundboard behavior, string resonance, damper resonance. In a lot of ways, it's very similar to Kawai's Virtual Technician, which gives a similar level of control, but Roland has put it into a very convenient interface. And this actually makes the piano react to these changes in real time. So if you wanted to even change the tuning, for example, so that gives you a really cool ability to do that. And of course, you can always reset it back to what it was before. And then the 4th app that I'm going to talk about, again, these are all free and all in the App Store, is the Piano Partner. And what this does is it loads a lot of the preloaded content that's already on the piano, gives you the ability to access this through a screen as well. So if I go to Content Browser, this DP-90SE is preloaded with quite a few masterpiece classical selections, which you can play along with. It's actually pretty cool. So, for example, there's a Chopin. You can turn the metronome on and off. So this really elevates and expands the playing experience that you get on an instrument like this, because on top of being a great piano to perform on and to play and to just to enjoy, this allows you to bring in quite a bit of new content to play with, allows you to do some recording, allows you to integrate a lot of your more contemporary favorites that might be loaded on your iTunes library and interact with them in real time. This is a great feature. And talking about features, the 3rd thing that I really like about the DP-90SE is the way that they've laid out the controls. It aesthetically does not get in the way. They're really nicely blended in with the overall look and feel of the piano. and they're laid out in a way that makes it easy for anybody, even if they're not technophiles, to sit down and navigate the instrument. The sound selection is well laid out just to the left of the display. You've got two simple controls here, ambience and brilliance, to slightly affect the sound that you're playing on. The metronome is well laid out here. Turn it on and off, and then you can affect the tempo up and down. You've got transport controls, so if you want to access that same content we were just talking about, but you don't have an iOS device, it does not mean that you don't get the preloaded content. It's still in the machine, but this is how you would access it. So Roland DP-90SE, certainly one of the more satisfying and impressive instruments that I've played from Roland in the last little while, and quite happy to have it on the floor here at Merriam. It's available in both the polished white as well as black. And if you are interested in trying it out, come see us at either one of our showrooms, both in Oakville and Vaughan, to the west and north of Toronto. And once again, I'm Stu Harrison from Merriam Pianos.